Hey everyone, and welcome back to our character bio. I guess round 2 for Sorrow. I'm going to record Sorrows and record Diz's again because I got some new recording software, so you guys will actually be able to hear them. Yay! Uh, Anyways, why don't you say what is up, Sorrow, to everyone?
Hey again.
Cool. So let's, I guess, start out. We'll just go over everything I asked you before. What chapter and what specialty is your Space Marine in our Deathwatch game?
My Space Marine is a Dark Angel Librarian who specializes in melee combat.
Okay. Just for, I guess, people that don't know anything about 40k. So, what exactly does a Librarian do, and what does he bring to the kill team that's unique?
Librarian Librarians are considered the game's magicians. They're mages, and they can bring potent death and destruction from both fire and close, with multitudes of skills like Avenger, which is basically a avatar of fire that flies around and melts people. But they also can bring a lot of party buffs to groups, like bonuses to rolls or bonuses to dodge and parry, along with defensive bonuses, or even heals for some librarian.
Okay. Um, and then you also have like a few utility ones as well, like auguries.
Yep, they you can use auguries and things like astro telepathy to help broaden your kill team's awareness. Um, Augury actually can let you see into the future a little bit or a lot. I guess it really depends on how strong your character is, but you can generally get a good sense of your mission based off of it, or at least one of the powerful enemies in your missions. It's pretty easy to use, and there isn't really a cooldown on it, so if your team has time, you can actually spend time augurying whenever you want to kind of get a picture of what's coming up. Other things like astro telepathy and astro telepathy lets you talk great distances with people. I think it actually says you can talk like across galaxies pretty
Yep.
easy with really strong psychers. So that's impressive because a galaxy's big, especially the Warhammer 40k galaxy.
Yeah. And when like Vox and stuff fails, then you still have another way to communicate with people.
hmm
Um. Okay. I don't think I asked this one in the other one, but this one should be pretty easy for you. Um, so can you briefly, because like when you use a psyker power, you have 3 different levels of power you can use it at. Can you maybe just touch on those different levels of power? So like when you in the game say like I push my power, can you kind of give people an idea of what that means or how that affects in the game? I know this is kind of like a more on the spot question, but
Easy enough to answer.
cool.
There is fettered, unfettered, and pushed versions of your power. The unfettered version is the one you'll hear me use a lot because it's basically a full strength normal power. So, like at the moment, my character has a psi rating of 3, which is his psyker potential, and which means all the spells I cast will be cast at a rank of 3. So, for instance, Avenger gets a or gets an armor penetration based off of my psi rating, so it would be just a basic 3 psi rating. Whereas Fettered is actually half of your psi rating. So, like, I think it would just make it 1 for me.
It actually goes to 2
But
because they cut it in half and rounded up. So
there you go.
yep.
So it'd be 2 for my character, but what it means is when a power is fettered, it's weaker, but it's really stable. So you actually have no chance of causing psychic phenomena. Whereas unfettered, if you roll doubles like 11 or 22, you can cause psychic phenomena, which lead to bad things. And then there's push, which is a it's like the Super Saiyan version of your powers basically, because they doubles your effective power with a spell. So since my Psyker rating is 3, it would become Psyker rating 6, which of course doubles all the damage I would do with it and stuff as well. But you have a you automatically cause psychic phenomena or phenomenon, whatever, it doesn't matter, with it, which can range from anything from making stones and wood cry blood to perils of the warp, even switching bodies and stuff. Whereas perils of the warp are really bad. It's like summoning a greater demon, or becoming instantly insane, or summoning a vortex of doom made of warp, made of the immaterium of the warp that just swirls around and annihilates everything. They're pretty bad. You don't really want them to be summoned out, but the psychic phenomenon are actually have pretty cool effects sometimes. Like, for instance, one charges your character with lightning, so you glow like a light blue, and you fry electrical equipment around you, which is neat. Sucks for our tech marine, but it happens sometimes.
Cool. Well, thanks for going in depth on that.
Sure.
So then, next thing I'll ask is, we'll go to your personal background. What did your character do, or like, what was your past history before he was recruited into Deathwatch?
He was gathered from. He was gathered into a passing fortress of the Dark Angels because the planet he was on had a high rating of psyker use, so he was actually picked up that way. He's been a librarian forever, basically, training and such to be one, but he has been on quite a few missions. I mean, in one really important mission, but most of his missions are really secretive because Dark Angels by nature are secretive, and they generally hunt for things that are illegal, I guess, would be a good word for them. You're not really supposed to... You're not supposed to hang on to them, I guess, if you found them. Really powerful artifacts or ancient books, or even things from the Black Library can be considered like that. One of his missions actually involves finding an artifact that should have been in the Black Library that wasn't. But we can't talk about it because he is a Dark Angel, and that would be heresy of the highest order. He has successfully fought in 2 campaigns, one against the Orcs and one against the Chaos Legion, which the Chaos Legion was actually an accidental one because they were looking for the Fallen, which you'll learn more about later, or you can look it up, doesn't matter. And up to that point, he's just been rolling around with his unit. I can't remember what they're called. He's been rolling around with them, and then he joined Deathwatch.
Okay. Cool. So the next question I'd like to ask then is, what is your character's like? How does he view the other Space Marines in his kill team? So we'll just go one at a time. So let's start with Diz, since you've been on 2 prior missions with Diz before the other 2 came. So what does your character think about Diz, or Marcus?
The Space Marine Marcus is an honorable and trustworthy man, though he is kind to a fault because he is an Ultramarine. So he's very much the face that the people see. He's what they're basically the representatives of all Space Marines to normal man. So he has to still put on that. He has to be that person when he's out in public. And he has the potential to be a great leader, though I think he's unsure of how to lead at the moment. Hopefully that will come with time. But he's a strong person, and hopefully he'll stay with us on more mission and not get wrecked by Hive Lord.
Okay. So what does Dominic Sorrow think about? Let's go with Kyler's character, who is Shadris Odin. What is your first impressions on Shadris?
Shadris Odin. Watched him train for 2 years under the guidance of the Watch Captain. He was not found lacking in any regard and was thus added to the Deathwatch. He is a force to be reckoned with, to be honest. Any heavy weapons Marine would be.
Okay.
He's pretty inexperienced, and hopefully through a few missions, he can learn how to better harness the power that he does wield. And sadly, he was unable to in our current mission because of certain technical failures.
Yeah. Uh, gun jamming one too many times, I guess, huh?
Every time.
Yeah, I think every other shot, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the 4 that he has shot out so far, he had 2 jams. Oh well. Okay. So then, let's move on to the last person, which would be Malcaspia's character, Cassius, the Black Templar Tech Marine. What does Sorrow think about him?
Oh yes, the Black Templar. They, you could sum it up in, I will work with him because our hatred for each other is only well, basically we hate the enemy more than we hate each other, so we will work together, or I will work with him because of this. Though he shows great potential as both a leader and a ally in our team. Hopefully, in time, I'll come to trust him a little.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you would like to add or comment on? Perhaps something that you had wanted me to ask that I didn't? Or any other information you'd like to say about your character?
It should be fairly exciting watching the games because I have a tendency to push my powers, which make for some exciting event, especially when they pertain to rules that we don't have rules for, or rules that aren't necessarily defined well enough for the situation. It should be pretty fun to see if I can manage to not kill off my fellow spaceman with a bad warp bubble or gravity.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking the time to do this for us, Sorrow.
Sure, anytime.
Alright, well, we'll go ahead and wrap up here, and I'll see you guys in the next character bio. Bye.